Hey everyone, hey Alice, it's great to meet you again. It's been a long time since we last chatted, really a long time ago. So
Yeah,
really pleasure to have you here. How are you doing? How's everything on your side?
yeah, it's going very well, thank you. We're very close to going into full production and migrating our beta customers over. The sales team have started this month and they're excelling already getting some customers on board, which is amazing. We've done some really cool PR bits with Fuel Ventures and some of our other investors lately. So lots going on in the background, but we're very excited to take Glyde to the next level.
Yeah, I believe you have your hands full, and it's super exciting. Is it going to be like the release and everything with the news this year, sometime in the summer perhaps, or we are looking at later stages, later times?
Sooner than that, the testing process has been quite vigorous, given the fact that we have our own backend and multiple API integrations. So that's the one thing really that's stopping us going into production now. But I think that'll be as soon as late next week, or maybe the week after. We have customers to migrate over, so we're looking forward to getting them on board. And we're doing some testing sessions with our existing customers in a demo environment whilst we wait. And yeah, the feedback has been amazing. I mean, our customers helped us build this product, so our confidence in its ability to be adopted at scale, basically by SME customers, is strong. We're
Mhm.
very confident in that.
Well, customers is the most important part of any business, right? No clients, no business. So it's great to hear. And actually, that's part of the interview that we have today. Part of the topics are related basically to customers, to their vision, to their, let's say, to their feeling of the product, of the solution that you're building.
Yeah.
We got a great feedback from viewers and listeners of the previous podcast that you recorded with the ElifTech team. And let's then continue today. I have a few questions prepared for you.
Go ahead.
Back in the first episode on the podcast with ElifTech team, we got the why behind the Glyde, right? Today, I'd love to hear how it's grown. What did the first version of the product actually look like, and how different it is from what users get today?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. I was actually looking at the first ever kind of blueprint 3 years ago that I drew and showed to my brother for Glyde the other day, and I had to send it to him because the stark contrast in what we thought the MVP would look like and what the MVP has ended up looked like are totally different. Like when we started, we obviously knew that the customers wanted this level of autonomy, but we still didn't quite know what the product was when translated into like solutions for end clients. And so it started off as just like a really clunky kind of like IG eToro kind of self-service trading platform, and that was quite vague. And when I look at it now, it's so different because the time that we actually spent talking to customers whilst building allowed us to dive deeper into the pain points
Mhm.
that SMEs face: unfair pricing, execution delays, and reporting headaches as well. And so it's kind of gone from this like, oh, wouldn't this be an amazing self-service effects platform if you have this product, and this product, to, oh wow, now you can actually see how those products are translating into solutions, and how our end customers will look at that and go, oh well, the fact that I can set and forget my FX rates is a great way to pain point I have of calling multiple brokers, seeing who's willing to go to the lowest point, and probably missing the boat in terms of timing because you've wasted time talking to those providers. So yeah, it's the difference now is it was a product with product features, and now it's a product with solutions. I think that's the major difference.
I'm really glad that you said that about the solution part, because really it's not just the product, it's the solution. It's something that resolves the pains, resolve the problems and the issues that clients have. And it's an important part when some idea or some product, it actually transits to the solution, because not every product does, right? But in case of Glyde, it's super visible. Thank you very much for sharing that, Alice. That's definitely an important part how things are changing. But we all know, talking about the fintech industry, we all know that it can get pretty complex behind the scenes, right? How do you keep things simple and user friendly on surface especially when automating things like payments and currency exchange?
Yeah, this is a great question, and it took us some time to learn as we were building. But the easiest way to answer that one now is that if there's a new feature or an enhancement, or we're building out the existing MVP, we always start with outcomes and not features. And just to give you an example, touching upon what I did earlier, we know from the NEO report that 55% of SMEs struggle with unfair pricing when managing foreign exchange. And all they ultimately want is the easiest way to secure the best FX rate at the optimal time. Like, that's all they really want. That's the outcome. And so that's great, because that allowed us to understand how do we use the features to achieve that outcome in a really simple way. And so looping back to the question, you know, how do you balance the two? I think it comes down to, again, stripping away jargon. Like, ultimately, if an FX person looks, or an FX professional looks at this, they go, okay, they're selling self-service automated limit orders. That means nothing to a family UK-based importer who's trading consumer goods. It means nothing to them. But they do know that they want to achieve the best possible rate at the best possible time in the easiest possible way. And so we balance that by stripping away the jargon, stripping away any of that nonsense, so it's not over complex, and saying to the same example, the UK-based family SME, hello, Mr. or Mrs. SME, we can see that you've got a batch of invoices in US dollars coming up over the next 2 weeks. Here is a way for you to set and forget, or to pick and pay. Choose the rates at which you want to exchange, choose your worst case scenario rate too, so you're protected, and then attach your payments to those rates. And what's going to happen is Glyde will automatically pay the supplier at the rate you've chosen, not the rate that's forced onto you by a bank who's very expensive and a broker who tends to be expensive after they get over the initial period of offering honeymoon rates. So it completely eradicates that. And the way it does that is by creating a solution that's simple enough for SMEs, not financial professionals, but SMEs to understand. And the other thing to add on top of that is that we're designing this product, or have designed this product, around real business workflows. No business managing director or finance director goes to work and says to himself, I would like to book a self-service limit order today so that I don't have to worry about it. What they might do is go, oh, you know what, I've got these 2 invoices coming up. I'd love to achieve that rate with minimal effort and know how I get there. And so that level of simplicity opens that door for that customer. And I just don't think that's something our competitors do. And I think that's what makes Glyde unique.
Yeah, I really like that part about the simplicity, making it as simple as easy for people. And also, not everyone, you're very, very correct here, not everyone can speak the financial language, the technical language, and everything like that. So when you speak people like regular users language, it's super important, because it's much easier for them to adapt and understand the value behind the solution as well.
Exactly. And I love it when I'm talking to customers and I'm presenting the solution or the product that way. It's so enjoyable, because we're looking at trading stop losses, you know, so like you choose your worst case scenario exchange rate, again, for this batch of invoices. And as the market or momentum of the market increases, as price improves, then your worst case scenario rate will tag along with it. And so don't say to the client, hey, would you like to implement a trailing stop loss for the, I don't know, sausages you're importing from Europe today? You can say to them, hey, look, why don't we do this? We can use this tool here. And what it means is the more the market moves up, the cheaper your invoice is going to get, because the better your rate is going to be when those invoices are due. And that's just, well, from the feedback we've had, that's gold, right? Like, you know, because again, I go back to the point that calling an SME up and saying, we can offer you automated trailing stop losses on your invoices, it's going to go straight over their heads. Like, I don't even want to say that, let alone them hear it. Sorry. But if you say, hey, look, we have a really easy way for you in a couple of clicks to make sure that sets of invoices are protected, but you can still get a better exchange rate as the market moves in your favor. And again, I mean, probably even too complex saying that. Just the rate, the rate gets better, the invoice gets cheaper, and all you have to do is press one button. And I think that again is testament to what we're saying here about the balance between automation and simplicity. It has to be in equilibrium, or I just don't think it'll work.
Yeah, that's invaluable, actually. Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, talking about the simplicity of the things and in general the tech build for the solution like this, you've teamed up with external developers from ElifTech before. What do you think made this partnership work well? And what would you say to other founders thinking about outsourcing some of their tech? Is there some kind of like piece of advice or thoughts that you can share here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, working with ElifTech is probably the best, definitely the best strategic decision we made. And like from a founder perspective, it's for us, it was a great way to de-risk. And what I mean by that is if we hired internal engineers and they disappeared off the face of the earth, God forbid, tomorrow, we would be in a really sticky situation. But we have access to a pool of candidates, of which are vetted, and then we choose. Then we develop really good relationships with them, and then we have access to them, obviously, as we would internal team members. Like I see Roman and Mikola as, I don't see them as extensions of Glyde. I see them as part of our internal team here at Glyde. And on top of that, I think what drives that is how much they buy into the product and buy into the vision and what Glyde is and why it exists. You could have developers coming in and just code in, 8 till 5, whatever the agreed hours are, and you just get what you ask for at the end of the day. Or you can partner with a team of people or individuals like Mikola, like Roman, who are basically available whenever you need them, to be honest. Like I've never had them not available, and who make really just incredible contributions in terms of input, idea input, and output in terms of the work they have done together. And it's actually really lovely to have them both working together now in collaboration. Mikola on the front end and Roman on the back end, because it just feels like with Nathan obviously as well. It just feels like a very robust development team, and it gives me the freedom to focus on what's equally as important, which is our go-to-market strategy and how we plan to execute Glyde. And yeah, I think everything is just in perfect harmony right now. Touch wood, it continues that way. But yeah, it's been amazing. And yeah, I've just got so much respect and admiration for both of those gentlemen, because they've just been really, really solid. I'm yet to get a developer from ElifTech where my brother who vets them says, I'm not happy with this quality of work. So that usually is enough. But the fact that Roman and Mikola will reach out and go, hey, I noticed this was a platform. I've kind of implemented this UI enhancement just to make it a little bit easier for this customer to understand X, Y, Z. I don't know. I don't think you'd get that everywhere. And so we're looking forward to building our team with ElifTech as an outsourced software engineer team that is very much internal.
Yeah, that's not only about the outsourcing of the work, but about the partnership, that having the opportunity to rely on someone, in this case, having the opportunity to rely on the team members that seamlessly integrated in your team. And that's what we actually, that's a pleasure to hear, and what we what we looking for, what we are striving for. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing those details.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
And talking about the next point that I wanted to discuss with you here today is about the experience that your client have working and using Glyde solution. Was there ever a moment when a change you made to the user experience really moved the needle, like improved adoption or made users noticeably happier? We already discussed some of the points, like what you did to simplify the things for your users, right? How you approach the very complicated fintech language and things like that. But do you remember, or can you recall a moment when something really, like when you saw that change, something really moved in the adoption or satisfaction of the users?
Yeah, I do actually. I'll go back to the set and forget, set your FX rates functionality, because ultimately that is the golden nugget for Glyde when implemented in the right way. But it was still a bit clunky at the start. We didn't even know what to have on the on the sidebar, because it's like market orders, limit. There's so many different ways that you can construe the solution. So that was really difficult, especially when you're asking a user, a customer, to go, hey, you've got this batch of invoices, pick your exchange rates, then go create the payments that ultimately will come off the back of those orders. So as soon as the execution happens, those payments go out. That was relatively clunky up until the point we introduced the ability for people to attach those payments in the same workflow as setting their own FX rates. And I think that was absolutely crucial, because it kind of harmonizes both solutions. Like the two solutions, what is Glyde solving here when you're looking at the combination of automated payments and limit orders, set your own rates? Well, it's solving the pain point that 55% of SMEs struggle with unfair pricing, and 45% struggle with execution delays, paying suppliers at the right time. And so when you bring those two together, like almost 1 in 2 is a lot of SMEs are still feeling that friction point today. And so the big change for us was when we took the payment functionality, the automated payments, which to be fair, a lot of people have, but then combined it with the ability to automatically execute those payments at your chosen rate, and to do that in a couple of clicks in one workflow, as opposed to doing it in clicks in multiple workflows. That was the biggest kind of change for us. And it made demoing to prospects, customers, anyone really anyone I could pitch to, basically. It really improved the ability to demonstrate that product, because it's like, hey, we're solving these it's the 3 pain points, but we're solving these 2 killer pain points: unfair pricing and execution delays, in a single workflow. And here's how you do it. So then you see, problem 1 is solved by this solution on the same page as problem 2 is solved by this solution, etc., etc. And it made it it made it a lot less clunky and a lot more efficient for the end user. And I think whilst we're not in production yet, that feature, benefit, solution, whatever you want to call it, alone is going to massively drive adoption, especially when we have a sales team demoing that product in the space of 15 minutes and really has very little time to demonstrate clear value proposition in a very saturated market. So yeah, that's a big one.
That's actually great. So basically, that's the combination of 2 major pain points, right? It's not just one thing, but you made that more as a combination and as a like the flow.
Yeah, the flow. And the third pain point is reporting headaches. So they're the 3 stats that we tackled and approached when building Glyde. It's unfair pricing, it's execution delays, and it's reporting headaches. Reconciliation is a nightmare. And so all of those will be achieved in a single workflow with Glyde, because you set your own FX rates, you completely automate the outbound routing of payments to suppliers overseas, and then you have the option to either download custom CSV reports or Xero integration, which is coming soon, so that any reconciliation also is automated, meaning you don't have to log into multiple platforms to achieve a single goal. And so once we have those 3 pain points in a single workflow working seamlessly or in harmony, I think that's really where it's going to be a sweet spot for Glyde. But the value proposition right now alone, outside of Xero integration, is very, very compelling. I love it. When I practice sometimes, like I'll just get talking to people, someone in the gym, whatever, someone in the street, and they'll ask, like, what is Glyde? What do we do? And I try and practice it, because it's like, if I can explain to someone who has no idea about FX what Glyde is and what Glyde does, then we are definitely doing the right thing. And I was talking to like, it was like the lady serving me in the gym the other day, and she was like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, oh, if you was importing that gym equipment over there and you had some time to wait and you wanted to save as much money as possible when paying that supplier who happens to be based overseas, you can just attach that invoice basically to an exchange rate that you want. Say it's, I don't know, 134 now and you want 135. You can just choose 35 now, attach your invoice details and just top up. And the next time you hear from Glyde, it'll just say, hey, we've paid your supplier at 135 and the payment arrived in a couple of hours, for example. And she was like amazed. She was like, that's amazing. Like, and I was like, I think that is where what it comes down to. It's, you know, we have a great solution that under the hood is very sophisticated, but we can turn that into like the easiest possible solution to understand the ideal end customer, which is an SME that is new to or has been exposed to FX for a long period of time for commercial purposes. So yeah, I just always find that amazing. I love it. I love seeing their reactions. They're like, oh, you can pick your own exchange rates. I was like, yeah, you don't have to deal with banks or brokers. Like, you can pick your own rates this time. And it's just funny to watch them because they're like, that's amazing. But yeah.
I believe that's just like totally different level of satisfaction of being the founder when people are amazed of the product that you're building. As like, can it be that easy? Really? How is it possible?
I mean, to be fair, you look at how Revolut started with prepaid cards and Wise with P2P money transfers, and fundamentally, the biggest fintechs in the industry are the ones that are the most simple. And I don't think that will ever change. I know there's so much innovation and like this market is crazy. It's changing so in such short spans of time. I don't know what's going to happen next. But my bet is that sticking to what people know whilst making it simpler and automating it is the best way to put the probability of success in our favor at scale, as opposed to maybe exploring other things like stablecoin or whatever else is out there at the moment. We just want to stick to fiat currency solutions that people already know and just make it easier, make them automated, take away the need for that middleman who is there to ultimately overcomplicate the process to make more money from you and to maintain control over how you manage your foreign exchange workflows. And it just baffles me. It genuinely baffles me because a lot of people say, yeah, but they still need people there to hold their hand. And I get that. Like a lot of people do still like that service-led approach. But when you look to, if you have a product that's really easy to understand, if you look at the market overall and you look at the segment of the market that wants someone to hold their hand, exchange multiple phone calls, emails, etc., and run the risk of human error, getting deceived, whatever, and then you look at the portion of the market that wants a simple self-service treasury or currency solution, so long as they can learn it very quickly and integrate it into their internal processes very quickly. My money is on that portion of the market being massively disproportionate to the size of the market that wants that, you know, constant exchange of emails to pay a supplier overseas. I don't know. For me, it just doesn't make sense. And a lot of people I've spoken to, customers, clients, investors, they kind of see that too. But I think, I don't know, I think the industry's holding on to it because I think like with the legacy side of the industry, you know, the brokerage side of the industry, I think they're very reluctant to give that level of autonomy. And I've said it from day one, because you kind of say to the customer, there's very little need for me. And if you say there's very little need for me, then there's very little justification in charging a high FX margin, right? Whereas if you say, I'm going to be your outsourced finance team, which by the way means nothing if you're an FX broker, because your FX, you're a very tiny portion of finance. You can't call yourself an outsourced treasury function. It makes zero sense. But anyway, that's another story.
That's totally fine. Well, that's very interesting what you just described with the trends, and in general, like there always will be people who think differently, and that's fine. That's part of the story, right? Like for me, Glide is no brainer. Like for people to use in general, like for this part of the, but there will be always the part of the market which is not ready, and that's just how it works, as you said, because of the legacy and because of people who still exist there, like being this, having the opportunity to go to middle man is always another option. So yeah, but that's as you said, topic for another time. Yeah.
We'll talk about it
Yes.
for hours, to be honest. It's been my life for the last 3.5 years. I don't know how to talk about anything else. But anyway, yeah, should we go to the last? Is there a last question? There's one more.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, Alice. That was super insightful, and I completely agree with you that Glide is a no-brainer for me and other people. Still, we have one question left for today. It's again about the UX part, but a bit different side of the UX part, like the user journey, right? For in the Glide, using the Glide platform. The question is that what's been one of your biggest challenges on the UX front, especially when it comes to getting users to actually trust automation, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, I can keep this one relatively concise, actually. So it kind of touches upon things we've already touched on, but it comes down to like 3 words, basically, which is simplifying complex concepts. Like FX in itself is full of jargon and technical language, spreads, execution timing, forwards. Like there's so many different phrases out there. And we just stripped that back and focused on what really matters to a business owner, forgetting all that jargon. And that comes down to how much they're converting, when it happens, and what they're getting out of it in just plain English. That's it. And so that's kind of the biggest challenge we faced, the biggest lesson we've learned, and the biggest implementation, if that's the right word, we put into Glyde. Like everything around Glyde, every decision, every product feature is based on those 3 words. Is this simplifying complex concepts? And is it solving, obviously, real pain points for real business owners? And ultimately, that's it.
Nice. That's a very, very good note to finish our interview on, actually. So yeah. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, Alice, again. Always happy to see you and hear stories about the Glide and how you actually serve your clients and how you simplify their lives. So we will see what would be the next theme for the next interview, but let's finish for now. And thank you very much for the interview and wishing you a great day ahead.
Yeah, have a great afternoon. Thank you very much for your time.